Get that thing out your face.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the Second and Short podcast, where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Jacob.
No, I'm Hayden.
For those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
Yeah, and Cooper is not joining us because he is giving that hot spit on that thing at the moment. So Cooper, have fun. I guess I wonder if your style is as good as hers. I'll say, but we have a rather simple episode for us. Typically we try and get a few segments in. We're not gonna necessarily try and do that today. You guys seem to be a little bit more ambitious about what we might be able to accomplish, so we'll see. Starting off, though, I don't want to waste any time. We're going to do numbers 50 through 59 in our most iconic numbers, players to wear numbers 1 through 99 since 2000. Probably do our recap next week, I'll say, once we finish this one. So we'll start the second half now, and then we'll recap the first half next week. Josie, what do we got for numbers 50?
Yeah, so all of these numbers in the 50 just have a lot of names. You'll realize that as we go through. Some of them are just thrown out there as kind of like honorary mentions because there are guys that stand above the rest, just as it is in the league. But starting with 50, we're going to go Ryan Shazier to start off the top. We're going to go Rob Ninkovich, AJ Hawk, Larry Foote, Justin Houston, Vita Vea, KJ Wright, and Monte Teo. Those are the options for this one.
Reminder, most iconic, so not the best player to wear it.
I would say the three that probably stand at the top there, AJ Hawk, Shazier, and Monte Teo.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a case that Ninkovich is there as well.
Yeah, Ninkovich was good.
I would probably put Ninkovich probably towards the very bottom out of that list of guys. Justin Houston and Vita Vea are great. I think the other ones are more iconic. If we're looking just at the NFL, though, Manti Teo, I think, loses some of his luster compared to the other two who have kind of seen their legacy and their level of iconicness. Is that a word? I'm not sure. It is now. But their level of iconicness has increased through their NFL career and after it. Yeah. Manti Teo, what makes him iconic is really what happened before his NFL career.
His girlfriend.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that, you kind of mentioned it's like they both had... Ryan Shazier's short career, but good careers. AJ Hawk, leading tackler for one of the most storied franchises, maybe the most storied franchise in the history of the league. Obviously, now what he has with podcasts in general, but obviously the big one, Pat McAfee Show.
Ryder Cup champ.
The Ryder Cup champ, yeah, exactly.
COVID survivor.
COVID survivor.
That's right.
Patient zero.
Father of 12.
Yeah, exactly.
President of Ohio.
That's right.
Yep. He's got many mantras.
He does. And then you got the Shazier side of it, who was a budding superstar at the time, was probably on his way to being at least a second-team All-Pro in the year that he got hurt, and then ended up getting that injury, was told he was never going to walk again. He never did end up playing again, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, that moment of him walking out onto the stage, holding his girlfriend, wife, I can't remember who it was at the time, wife at the time's arm, and like walking out onto the stage, making the selection for them, and then now a little bit more infamous maybe in the sense that what's going on in his personal life. So, there's, in my mind, it's Shazier and AJ Hawk, and I think that's the vote personally.
I agree. Have you guys seen AJ Hawk's golf tournament that he does where he tackles this guy into the lake every year?
I saw a video. Yeah.
That's pretty iconic.
Sure.
So I feel like for me it's pretty easy. I'm a big fan of the McAfee show, so I'm gonna ride with AJ Hawk on this one.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk, but Ryan Shazier probably could win this without any of the negative stuff that has happened in the last year. He literally sent 2 books to females other than his wife on how to give a good BJ, aka hawk tuh, and anal sex. How to prep for anal sex. Is right, Josie. This one's Ryan Shazier all the way for all the good reasons and all the bad reasons.
Man, I'm going back and forth in my mind because honestly, when you guys were voting, I was like, I might actually go AJ Hawk. But here's the thing, I used to be a really big Madden guy. I am somewhat a Madden guy now, but I really used to be into this thing called Ultimate Team where you build your team and different cards like this. every single year there is a 99 overall version of Ryan Shazier that comes out.
Not this last year.
Not this last year, was it not?
No.
Okay, well either way, like
But I
there's
was
always
sure.
like and like
Yeah.
those
He
are
was too
the
busy
was-
reading.
he was- he was
didn't
the,
sign the
uh,
contract.
He was
Yeah.
like the
uh-huh.
master level champ card you got for
Yeah.
something, or getting like max level
Yeah.
or something.
And like they only do that for NFL legends. I don't know this for sure, but I've never seen an AJ Hawk 99 overall. And again, that's one aspect of the entirety of
Yep.
football. But based on
For sure.
everything that we've said, and based on that as well, I'll bring a little Madden edge into this. We haven't done that really yet,
Little
but
edge.
I'm gonna go with Shazier as well. So, but I don't think either one's a bad choice. I
No,
think it's
no.
like 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
So
Fair
we
enough.
can even leave AJ Hawk's name on there, but I'm gonna highlight Shazier's.
Yeah.
So.
All right, who we got at 51?
51. Real quick. Let me get this highlighted here. All right, 51. We have James Ferrier, Will Compton, Mike Pouncey, Gerard Mayo, Alex Mack, and Takeo Spikes.
This one's
Man.
competitive, I think.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of really good people. A lot of good centers on this list.
So I love them, but I don't think that a Steelers linebacker is gonna win both 50 and 51. James Ferrier. It's a shame. When I was just thinking about this last night because I'm a nerd and this is what I think about
Yes.
late at night when I can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the Steelers and the Packers, that Super Bowl.
Mm.
I personally didn't necessarily watch it. I went to a Super Bowl party, but I was younger. It was before I kind of hit my peak in terms of football watching. I rewatched it a few years ago, and it is one of the more entertaining Super Bowls of all time. And it's heartbreaking because if that game has a different outcome, the whole entire history of the NFL is so much different from the Packers' point of view, but let's just look at it from the Steelers' point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Roethlisberger becomes a 3-time Super Bowl champ.
Nope.
At the time, only Brady, Montana, Bradshaw, and Aikman were the quarterbacks to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe that spirals into even more. Maybe Ben is able to catch up to Bradshaw and get 4. Let's not get crazy. Let's just stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
Tomlin becomes a 2-time Super Bowl champ, which I don't know how much that really helps his legacy. Maybe it gets some Yinzers off his back. Heinz Ward becomes a 3-time Super Bowl champ.
Mhm.
He's in the Hall of Fame, without question. I still think he should be,
Yeah.
but Troy Polamalu, we probably view him as truly one of the greatest defensive players of all time.
Mhm.
Casey Hampton,
Hmm.
maybe he's a Hall of Famer at that point. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ, multiple Pro Bowls, multiple All-Pros. Flozell Adams, the offensive tackle, over a decade with the Cowboys, multiple Pro Bowls. He has a Super Bowl to his resume. How differently are we looking at him?
Yeah.
And James Ferrier, probably a guy who's never going to sniff the Hall of Fame, but 3 Super Bowls, he kind of gets into the interesting territory of guys like a Willie McGinnis and Teddy Bruschi, where the numbers and accolades are impressive, not quite Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
but having 3 Super Bowls and being a key part of those 3 Super Bowls makes you at least an intriguing prospect. So James Ferrier, I do want to give him some love, but I think I don't view him as one of the truly iconic parts of those great Steelers defenses of the 2000s.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that it didn't really lend itself to in his favor of the other linebackers that he played with. Because I would say on that roster, like, there were times he was maybe the second best linebacker on the roster, but most of the time he's probably third. He's probably the third best
Looking
linebacker
at
on the
outside
roster.
and
Yeah,
off, I would
yes.
Lamar Woodley, Joey Porter,
Mhm.
Harrison.
Yeah, so it's like you look at that, it's like, yeah, he was great, but he was never really the number 1 linebacker on his team either. So,
All right, so Ferrier's out. Who else do we have? We have Alex Mack.
Say, I like Alex Mack a lot.
mhm.
Now, this is a guy who was a part of one of the best O-lines, like, in history, like, with the Browns, like him and Joe Thomas, and then, I can't think of the other guy. That honestly, I can't think of
Mitchell
the...
Schwartz.
Yeah, Mitchell Schwartz.
John
Yeah.
Greco.
Yeah, they were at a bunch of beasts, and there was the only people they talked about on that team. Like, they're talking about O-linemen because no one else on that team mattered.
Yeah.
And then he breaks his leg, and then goes to Atlanta
Mhm.
and balls out within Atlanta. And I think he was a Pro Bowler there, if not All Pro. And I think just like coming back from a broken leg as a center and like still being at a Pro Bowl level is pretty impressive to me.
What number did he wear? He switched numbers.
So that's the thing. He was a Pro Bowler at all 3 stops and wore 3 different numbers at all 3 stops. So we're going to be talking about him a lot tonight. He started out with 55 in Cleveland. We're 51, which is obviously what we're at in Atlanta. And then he finished up at number 50 in San Francisco.
So yeah, we didn't mention him for 50, but I don't think he's in the conversation. You guys.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
He only
to go
played
back
like
to
2
it.
years.
Yeah. So I mean, Alex Mack, I think, is a decent choice, but again, he's going to be on this list again later. We talked about that. I think we mentioned earlier with the Manti Te'o thing is like college career. We're not really counting that too much, and I think that Mike Pouncey's real greatness was with that Florida team. He had a great career, but at the same time, I think it's a little bit overshadowed by like his brother, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe well, he's a Hall of Famer for sure. Maybe not first ballot, but one of the best centers of all time. Like he was a little bit in his brother's shadow, in my opinion.
And he actually switched to 53, I think, when he left Miami for Los Angeles.
So they weren't the same number.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, like in my mind, like there's 2 names on here that like, so Gerard Mayo, obviously, pretty good career, but at the same time, like really in the headlines now for being, you know, like a first-time coach, really. Yes, he served in some capacity with the Patriots, but like being thrust into this role, he's kind of in the spotlight maybe more than he ever was, even as a player.
A Belichick successor. Like
how do you think the Patriots finished this year with Drake May and Gerard Mayo at the helm?
Well, me and
Fourth in their division.
Josie, you like Drake May as
but like where do you think they're finishing?
You like Drake May like I do, right? Maybe not as strongly, but
I like him. I don't like his fit with the Patriots personally.
And I would agree with that. I'm hoping for Drake's
I don't at all.
sake, Jacoby Brissett plays the whole entire year. That roster is atrocious.
Bad.
I knew in my mind there was no way this was going to happen. I wanted Drake May to go to the Vikings, and I knew there was no way it was going to happen.
I mean, they
but that's what
tried.
wanted.
They tried. They tried so hard to get him. Well, what do you think their record's at? I think their line is set at like 5.5, which I think's absurd.
Hammering the under.
Yeah.
I think they have an opportunity to be the first winless team for the 0-17 season.
I was gonna say ceiling's probably like 5 and 12.
I do. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. Dude,
So
they're
gonna be
they're
awful.
so bad.
I mean,
with a rookie head coach,
Yeah.
a rookie quarterback.
And I do like the upside of Jalen Polk, but at the same time, it's like he's
Not
was
with
a
the other guys that
third-round
were
pick
on
for a reason, like second round pick, whatever.
No,
it was.
he was top of the second because
Yeah.
there were still some guys. Lad McConkey was on the board. I know.
AD Mitchell was
AD
on there.
Mitchell,
Yeah. But anyway, back on track. So again, the names we have on there: Will Compton, which I think busting with the boys has been like great. Like him and Taylor Lewan, which I'm sure at some point we'll mention. Taylor Lewan, 75 was what he wore. 77. So like his post career has been great. His career was tumultuous. There's rocky. Mike Pouncey, Gerard Mayo, Alex Mack, Takeo Spikes. We haven't really talked about Takeo Spikes anymore.
And I think he deserves more credit for his playing time, but I don't. I think there's a reason why we haven't talked about him.
Yeah.
I think that it comes down to Compton and Alex Mack. And Alex Mack, fringe Hall of Fame player. Will Compton, nowhere close to that. Did have a couple of good years with, I'll say it for you, the Skins. But truly one of the first players to kind of take the Pat McAfee approach and focus more on their media career than their football career, recognizing that their NFL tenure isn't going to last forever. And he's become one of the better podcasters in the world, especially in sports media.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been good.
I'm not sure Alex Mack runs away with this. I think Will Compton's become pretty well known to sports fans, and I'm not sure if Alex Mack, outside of the diehard fans, can really say the same.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair point.
Well,
so where are you at, my man?
Well, I'm going to go with Alex Mack just because I'm a Browns fan. It's the easy homer pick, and he was one of the only good parts of my team for like the first 16 years of my life. So
I'm going to be the tiebreaker on that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And I this is another one kind of like 50 where I'm just like,
yeah,
there's not a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Just switch it up. Go to KO
No,
Spikes.
you know what? Here's
go
the
to
thing.
KO Spikes.
He's
three-way tie.
Make us get out the dice for it.
He's on the list later, so I'm not going to go Alex Mack. I'll go Will Compton. I do like the reasoning. I do think that
putting a lot of faith that he gets 55, and I remember we had some guys.
There's
I
no
know.
shot he's
He's
getting
not getting
55.
Yeah.
But
I
at
don't
the
even know
same
why you
time-
said that. He's not even worth a
He's on-
mention at 55.
But he's on the list. But he's on the
Okay,
list.
He can be on the
We
list.
can talk about him twice though.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I do like the point that you made that like even the casual fan at this point has an idea of who Will Compton is, even if they don't know his career. And Alex Mack, I don't know that casual fans would know who that is.
Like
which is a fair
anytime
point.
there's anything in football specifically, but sports media, like I remember like earlier this year when there was the all white versus all black team.
Mhm.
Like Will Compton was like the one like stirring the pot, like making the lineups. Like he was all over that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of stuff like that that has made him special, made him successful outside of football.
Yeah, absolutely. 52. I do think that there's a runaway with this one. What?
I was gonna say, although like for 52, like I'm kind of peeping some of the names you got.
Mhm.
I loved Patrick Willis.
Me too, dude. He's one
Like
of my favorite
he's
players of all
one of my
time.
him and Navarro Bowman, love them.
Yeah.
It's Ray Lewis, no question. Like keep it moving. Like that intro that he had, I don't know, you talking about that Madden intro, and it's just like his motivational speeches, his the dance in the tunnel, like wearing
his-
52 because of the cards and doing the push-ups and the story with his dad and
He murdered a person.
I was gonna say his
like-
Yeah, dude.
infamy off the
hey,
field.
Stone Cold Killer on and off the field, like iconic.
I love that clip of Ocho Cinco. He's like, I tried to blindside Ray, and like he just like
He just
gave
let
me
me
the
pick
like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously you mentioned two guys on this list that we already have there: Ray Lewis, Patrick Willis. I think that those are the first two names on this list. I think there's other names that come in here: Khalil Mack for the time that he's
Yeah.
I mean,
Defensive
Mack,
player
yeah.
of the year.
yeah, defensive player of the year. People forget how
Raiders,
good he
he was
was
so
with the
good.
Raiders. He was so good.
Even
with
with the
Raiders.
Bears, he was like still really dominant.
Yeah, no,
Dare I
absolutely.
say, even with the Chargers.
Yeah,
still
he's been.
good.
I mean,
Like,
he came in.
6
He's
sacks
better than
last year.
Joey Bosa. in
6
my
sacks in a
opinion.
game last year. So Creed Humphrey is a bit of a newer one. Chad Greenway is on this list. David Harris, and then DeQuell Jackson,
Former Brown.
former Brown, former Colt. He was actually the one who felt the football for Deflategate.
Little-
He's the one who caught it and said that it fell flat in the Deflategate thing. So most people don't remember him when they think about Deflategate, but he was involved with the whole investigation.
And I think those last three off-ball linebackers that you listed, I think those are prime examples of. I think I've started to convert you into my Hall of Very Good. I
Sure.
love the way to describe it describes careers, and I think all three of those guys fit perfectly. Ring
Yeah.
of Honor type players.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
So I think that, I mean, honestly, there's not much conversation that the answer is Ray Lewis, but I was going to leave Patrick Willis's name on there just
Yeah.
based on, I mean, now he's a
like
Hall
it.
of Famer. He wasn't first ballot, was he? He went
Is
in last
he
year.
in yet?
He just went in last year.
Okay, I knew
Yeah.
he was a finalist. I didn't know that he
probably
got
got
in.
Double check me, but I'm
He
like
probably first
97% sure that it was him.
The thing about Ray Lewis also, and I'm glad that we've kind of entered this into the criteria where you're not an automatic winner, but it does help your case. Madden cover,
Yep.
and that's been one of the more famous Maddens since 2000.
Yeah,
Also.
for sure.
So Patrick Willis is both in the
Yeah.
Pro Football and College Football Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
as I say, he just got in this year's. Him, Hester, Jared Allen was in this one.
Now Jared Allen's still waiting for his call.
Who was the
He's been a finalist.
Who was
a
the
few times.
lineman? Julius Peppers. Julius
Yeah,
Peppers
yeah,
was this year.
Julius
That's who it was.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to 53. So in this one, there's a couple names on there, but I think there's two that kind of stand out.
Yeah, I agree.
Marquise Pouncey and Navarro Bowman, I think, are at the
Yeah.
top of this list. They've got other names like Nigel Bradham, Clark Higgins, and Darius Shaq Leonard. We put both names on there just to shout out because he went by both. Darius Shaquille Leonard. But I really think in my mind, and you guys can chime in on this too, is like Marquise Pouncey and Navarro Bowman are the conversation.
Oh,
for this
yeah,
number.
absolutely.
So,
Did
I
we even
personally-
put anybody else? I'm not sure.
we didn't put anybody else. So that's all the names that I had on here. And honestly, like to me, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, is like I think he's a Hall of Famer, if not a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the better centers of all time. My answer goes, I think unbiasedly, even as a Steelers fan, I think Marquise Pouncey is the answer here.
Every
Okay,
season,
Shazier.
What's that?
every
I
I said
season,
okay, Shazier, unbiased Steelers
Hey.
fan.
every season that Pouncey played, he was a Pro Bowler.
Mhm.
Add in all the
13.
All Pros. There were a few years that like he missed because of a torn ACL and everything. When I think of the center position, like as the offensive line as a whole, you're supposed to protect your quarterback.
Yeah.
The center, I feel like that weighs on you a little bit extra. When Mason Rudolph was murdered by, or attempted murder by Myles Garrett,
He got what was coming to him.
okay. Pouncey was the first guy there. He was stomping on people's head. Not that I condone that, but
in certain situations, it's warranted.
Yeah,
so.
he's a punk.
Yeah, okay.
but no, I love the Pouncey twins. They're amazing to listen to. I think Marquise wins this.
Yeah. And we're not really talking about college football, but name a more notorious team.
If
than
you
that
want to use it as a
Florida
tiebreaker towards
team. That's
the
what I'm
lot,
saying.
yeah.
Like it's, I do have the numbers here for you. You mentioned him: 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Second Team All Pro, 2-time First Team All Pro. So 5 selections to All Pro teams, 9 Pro Bowls, 2010's All Decade Team, All Rookie Team. He was a consensus All American, but that's getting him to college again. 134 career starts.
And if linemen were to be given a chance to win Rookies of the Year, Pouncey might be a prime example of someone who deserved it. He was the starter on that 2010 Super Bowl
Day
team.
one.
2010.
No. He started on day one, right?
Yeah,
He was
day
an
one
immediate
starter.
Yeah.
And Sam Bradford won it that year. So if we're going to make an argument that linemen should be able to win more awards, I feel like that's a pretty good case.
No, I agree. I would also say Marquise Pouncey.
Okay. And again, shout out Navarro Bowman, like dog. But most of the time when he was there, I think he's most well known for backing up Patrick Willis.
Yeah, and I think and just kind of just further the point, there's a real case, and I don't think it's much of a case. Marquise Pouncey is probably top 10 center all time. Navarro Bowman, you probably could make a case, but there's so many other guys to where it's he's probably more of a top 25 guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I've said this to you before. I don't know that you've ever heard me say this, but we don't need to get into it yet. But I think that there's a case that the top 3 centers of all time played for Pittsburgh: Dermody Dawson, Mike Webster, and Marquise Pouncey. It's an argument. There's definitely other people that fall into that category, but there's an argument that the top 3 are all Steelers.
We're going to talk about the 4th best Steelers center in Steelers history next week.
Zach Frazier.
No, I was talking about Kendrick Green, but
gotcha. Yeah, okay.
All
right, moving on to 54. There's a lot of names on this one, but we minimized it down. It's a pretty popular number for linebackers. We minimized it down to these names here. You got B-Wags, who is still currently kicking it in Seattle. You've got Brian Urlacher, one of the, if not the greatest middle linebacker of all time based on your preferences.
Yeah.
Teddy Bruschi, who was part of the Patriots dynasty. Levante David, who's been just super consistent, been a guy who's taken pay cuts to stay with the team that he loves. He is him and Mike Evans are the quintessential Buccaneers when you think about it.
For sure.
Yeah, Dante Hightower, another guy who is part of that Patriots dynasty. Zach Thomas.
Dude,
not super familiar with a ton about him, but I know the name.
He was so good in he played for Miami, and I remember the first time his card was in Madden, he was an absolute freak. He was one of the fastest people off the edge. So that's the only reason I know him as off Madden, but that's just a super niche name. That's he's definitely not gonna win this number, not against the people, but he's definitely one of my more favorite names to throw out there.
He's another Hall of Fame linebacker.
Yeah. Oh, is he in the Hall?
Yeah.
Nice.
He just got in a couple of years ago.
Yeah, okay. I think I remember us talking about that last week. And then the last one on this list, Fred Warner. Not much needs to be said about him. Probably the best middle linebacker in the league right now. Him and Roquan, thank you. I was going to say Roschon Johnson. Where are you guys falling on this one?
See, it's really tough because I feel like Brian Urlacher's the answer, but we talk so much about that Legion of Boom defense, and Bobby Wagner's been doing it for so long, and you could argue that some of his later Pro Bowls are just based off his name and not off actual performance, when you look at the numbers, but Bobby Wagner's he's a dog.
Yeah,
he's a dog, but for me it's Brian Urlacher. Hall of Famer. His speech too was super incredible. I don't know if you guys have watched his speech into the Hall, very moving. And I feel a lot of people know that speech, even if you don't know football, because I think he talked about his kids and stuff too, and that's always pulls at the heartstrings for people.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Urlacher strictly because I want my hair to make a comeback the way his has.
Dude, I was gonna say it.
So when I think of Chicago, Walter Payton's the first name that comes to mind. The second name for me is Brian Urlacher.
Over Singletary.
Yes,
Mike Ditka.
I think for some people it'd be the Ditkas. it would be the Devin Hesters.
Matt Forte.
But Urlacher just embodies that Chicago defense. I know there were some other names, Julius Peppers, Peanut Tillman.
I think of
Lance
Julius
Briggs.
Peppers more as a Panther, honestly.
Well, no, and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But Peppers was there for that 2010 NFC Championship appearance. Or it was always Urlacher and Ray Lewis for me growing up as a kid. It was always those two.
Nope.
Bobby Wagner. It would be cool just because we have like an insanely absurd amount of Seahawks from that Legion of Boom era.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily Bobby's fault. He was very quiet, still kind of is, but especially at the beginning of his career. But if we're talking about iconic players, just on the defense alone, I think Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor are all more iconic.
Oh, yeah.
So
Brandon Browner.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Is
But
he 39?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we actually mentioned,
Did we?
mentioned
Okay.
him.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah, okay.
39 was,
Dude, he was so
Steven
good.
Jackson won.
yeah.
Dude, what was he, like 6'4"? Playing
6'3",
cornerback?
6'4",
Yeah,
something like
insane.
that. And he might have been 6'5", actually. Come to think of it.
Maybe,
Either
dude,
way,
he was.
like,
Yeah.
which is Sherman was a 6'3", and he was taller than Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think that Bobby Wagner is. I think during the Legion of Boom time, he was a little underrated, but he's definitely got his flowers now because he's really the only one left from that whole Legion of Boom thing. And I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it to either one of you. Is like he might not have ever been the best player on that defense. I think he was the best leader on that defense because of how he kind of took a back seat, even though he was like he was green dot the entire time.
Yeah.
Right. It's like he was the one moving things around. He was making calls, different things like that. Like yes, they're going to take liberties because they're good. Like Sherman's going to do his thing, Earl Thomas is going to do his thing.
Yeah.
I personally think Bobby Wagner was the best leader on that entire defense,
And
and a
lead by
big
example.
reason, reason why they won what they did. But the thing that puts Brian Urlacher ahead, in addition to what you guys said, he is a defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the conversation. So
The Jerome Bettis run where Bettis just trucks him also stands. And obviously we're talking about how great he is, and that's a lower moment, but that's one of the more iconic plays in a season where the Steelers would end up winning the Super Bowl for Bill Cowher and Jerome Bettis, and it's forever etched in NFL history.
yeah, for sure. All right, 55. So a lot of names on this one. So
Alex Mack.
Alex Mack, he is on here.
End of conversation.
Yep. I mean, we didn't give it to him earlier, so he has to win now. No, I'm just
right.
kidding.
All right, so breeze through them real quick. Junior Seau, a Hall of Famer, RIP. T Sizzle, you got Anthony Barr, you got Derek Brooks, Willie McGinnis, Joey Porter, Lance Briggs, Brandon Graham, John Abram, Alex Mack.
I mean, I think
Lot of names.
I think it's Terrell Suggs easy, but Derek Brooks is a close second for me.
Okay.
Derek Brooks was one like the best coverage linebacker, like maybe in NFL history. Like the dude was just so versatile in what he was doing. But I mean, what was it? Maybe 2 weeks ago, you had a stat about Terrell Suggs.
I did?
I think you did.
Is that me or who?
Someone had a stat about
Cooper
Terrell
didn't have a
Suggs,
stat,
but
let's
no,
not-
yeah.
Nice try,
He didn't pull a
yeah.
stat. But it was something about. It was something like I think he's like the franchise leader or led the league or has the most tackles for loss. Like something with like tackles for loss. I'm pretty sure like Terrell Suggs like either had the highest season or has the most in NFL history like tackles for loss. Like it's insane.
Josie, you find anything?
I did not find based on that, but I was looking something else up because I think that in my mind, but like these other guys, there's a lot of really good players on there, but in my mind, it's between Junior Seau and Terrell Suggs. And the reason for that is Junior Seau's Hall of Famer. He's obviously passed, which I mean they say it about artists. It's like they love you more. You get more flowers when you're gone, right? It's like I think that was a big part of it. He got inducted into the Hall of Fame after he was passed, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
6-ish years ago, 7 maybe, something like that. They made a whole big ceremony about it, gave him his flowers, gave the stuff to the kids, had his kid up on stage, kind of like what they do with Walter Payton.
For
I
sure.
just don't know that that name rings the same in the current generation like T Sizzle does.
Yes, and the
So like, I
nickname,
think
yeah.
that older people or people who have looked back in the history of the league know who Junior Seau is because of how good he was with the Patriots and different things like that. And to keep true to what I said with the last one with Urlacher, T Sizzle has a Defensive Player of the Year. So in 2011, T Sizzle was Defensive Player of the Year. My answer is Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, I'm also Terrell Suggs.
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and switch you.
There's
Junior
no way you're gonna
Seau.
put Junior Seau.
You're not gonna budge. I think I might be able to get him. Junior Seau is viewed as one of the best leaders of all time.
Yep.
You've heard stories from Tom Brady, LaDainian Tomlinson, Bill Belichick, like truly staples of our game.
Yep.
And they have all been around him and said, yeah, he's one of the most talented leaders of all time. Ryan Leaf, one of the worst, if not the worst, draft busts in NFL history. He has talked about his leadership and basically said, yeah, he had me shitting bricks. Like, I was scared. Like, he is that intense. Add on the fact that he is one of the greatest linebackers. And the NFL is known for controversy. Probably the worst controversy that the NFL has had is in the last decade when they had to go to the Supreme Court regarding players' well-being, safety, head injuries, and CTE. Junior Seau is the prime example of that. Junior Seau is one of the biggest reasons why the game is safer today than what it was yesterday. He has changed the game forever. He has made the game safer for others. Junior Seau is my answer.
I'm looking down through some of the stuff on here. Some of their accolades. So
Andy's Pauly. I know how you love your Paulies.
that is true. They're incredible football players, man.
Just one last little.
Yeah. So Junior Seau has an NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year award, which I like that too. 6-time first team All Pro, 3-time second team All Pro, so 12.
Almost a decade of
12-time Pro Bowler as well. 90s All Decade Team. What years did he play from? He was a 1990 draftee. Played 19 seasons. Wow.
as a linebacker.
As a linebacker, yeah. Was he an off-ball linebacker?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hence
Because
the CTE.
Yeah,
20 years.
yeah.
Of
Well, I'm
playing
looking at-
one
I'm
of the more ruthless
Yeah.
positions.
I'm looking at their statistics too, and I mean, he has a lot of tackles, almost 2,000 tackles in his career, only 56 and a half sacks, but again, off-ball
didn't really
linebacker.
say
That might be
18
number one for
picks.
off-ball linebackers.
It
so.
might be,
Yeah.
yeah. And then looking over at T. Sizzle, 2-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, 1 first team All-Pro, 1 second team All-Pro, 7 Pro Bowls.
Led the league in forced fumbles in 2011.
Yeah, he was
That was his
a
defensive player of the year, if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
886 tackles, so significantly less. 139 sacks, so significantly more. Obviously, position-based. Some almost 40 forced fumbles, pass deflections, 60.
Deflections. Dang.
Yeah, I mean, they're both such good answers. I think I'm gonna stick with Sizzle. I think the Junior Seau again deserves his flowers, and like, I don't know, maybe in a different universe, I vote for Seau.
Well, I mean,
but, like,
and to
I
go
just-
back to the point of like, it's not necessarily the better career, but who's more iconic and like.
I mean,
It's
the
T-Sizzle.
face mask.
Yeah, the face
I don't know.
And I'll give you another get-out-of-jail-free card. Seau played half of his career prior to 2000.
Yeah,
So-
that's fair. Yeah, and again, I'm not like you make a compelling case, and I'm not like X to Seau, like pick up AGT when you hit the red X. No, absolutely not. Like I was close before you started talking, and like you made a compelling case there. So like, I think I'm gonna stick with Sizzle because of how much I hated the guy because I'm a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
To be fair, so I mean the Steelers have almost always had great O-lines, other than maybe the 3 to 5 years ago era. And Sizzle was still able to produce playing against.
There were some times during Ben's early days that were a little rough, too.
Yeah.
Ben didn't help himself out, but...
Yeah, very true. All right,
one's
50,
interesting.
56. A lot of names on there. There's one name specifically that sticks out, maybe two, but there's some names on there that we're just going to throw out because, there's some common ones that people know and some somewhat recent ones. Lamar Woodley is one. Spent some time in Pittsburgh and then the Raiders and
Cardinals,
yes. Alex Highsmith, obviously an active player, filled in for TJ Watt that year he was injured and did well. He led the league in sacks for a while, if I remember correctly. Derek Johnson, Chiefs legend.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was
Chiefs legend, yeah.
He was
Prior to the dynasty, I think there was some overlap with him and Alex Smith, yeah, with Derek Johnson.
So
Did Derek
Alex,
Johnson play with Tom Bali?
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
So Derek Johnson's last year with the Chiefs was Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. So Patrick Mahomes was not playing, but I remember vividly the wild card round against Mariota in the tight ends. It was when Mariota threw a touchdown to himself.
Yeah.
Derek Johnson took a fumble all the way, and that should have had the Chiefs win in advance. The runner was called down.
Yeah.
I forget if it was Henry or somebody else, but the runner was called down. That ended Johnson's Chiefs career. He would go on and play, I think, half a season for the Raiders.
Yeah. But just great numbers, if I remember correctly. Sean Merriman is another name on there. Might not be as well known nowadays, but just if nothing else, he wins the award for the thickest neck. Like the dude had no neck, like it was just one connecting from his head all the way down. And then the two names that I think stand a little bit above on this one is Julius Peppers and Brian Cushing.
Really? So, with Julius Peppers, do you not?
That was his Packers tenure.
I was gonna say, do you not think of him more of like wearing 90?
I mean, I do, but I think there's gonna be a lot of names for 92. I'm not even just thinking about T.J. Watt. Like, there's gonna be a lot of names for 90.
No, I agree.
I don't know that Julius Peppers is gonna get 90, and I believe he should be on this list.
Well, Alex Mack didn't get 51, and there's no shot at 55. I think Julius Peppers might have to roll the dice on number 90 because him wearing 50, I don't even 56.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't remember him wearing 56.
The old heads will remember him.
Yeah, the old heads.
So where are you lying on this list?
Honestly, Derek Johnson and Brian Cushing for me. Brian Cushing very underrated especially when he was with the Texans. He was on. He was there when Matt Schaub, that bloody picture was one of the more iconic. Like that's what I think of when I think of Brian Cushing. He was with that Matt Schaub team, right? Everyone hopped on the hype train. It was like
his rookie year was 09, so a lot of overlap.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype with that Texans team with like Matt Schaub, J.J. Watt, Brian Cushing, and then like I think the next year Matt Schaub led the league in pick sixes. Like he threw like 5 in the first 3 games.
That defense was good. I
mean, it was very good.
They had Jonathan Joseph. They had J.J. Watt. They had Brian Cushing. They had who's the other edge rusher?
Whitney Merciless.
They have a lot of guys.
Williams for some of that.
The coach.
Romeo Crennel.
No.
Mike Vrabel.
No.
He's
the current Texans coach. He was a
DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans was on the team. Like there were guys on that squad. So I think Brian Cushing was a little bit underrated, but just like a real hype guy.
Yeah,
and I mean, you don't bash your head into somebody's helmet for no reason. Like he was a hype guy. He was trying to get his dudes hyped up. Like was he green dot? Brian Cushing? He was off ball.
Yeah, I think he was.
He might have been.
I'd be surprised if he
Roid Rager.
Yeah, for sure.
Got suspended multiple times for roids. If we say let's go,
let's go.
This is one where if we were doing college, I think he wins for sure. He was very iconic at USC. But Defensive Rookie of the Year, he was a part of the NFL Welcome Rookies thing that they used to do on NFL Network. So he was a part of that. He was a part of Hard Knocks in 2013, which that would have been the year that everything went to crap for Gary Kubiak and Matt Schaub. You mentioned all the pick sixes, but they were Hard Knocks that year. I remember him calling out Alfred Blue, who was a rookie running back at the time.
Yep.
So, one of the more iconic clips of Hard Knocks, the more I'm talking, I'm convincing myself it's Brian Cushing.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Sean Merriman, who was elite for 2 years, best edge rusher in the game, elite. Had the nickname Lights Out. He was fearless, hard hitting, just a sack machine. I forget if it was head injuries or some other body part, but he fell out of favor real quick. Ended up finishing in Buffalo, I believe. But crazy high ceiling, but it was just very short lived, so we don't really talk about him as much. He was on NFL.
That jawline is insane, dude.
Do you remember NFL AM? It was it was the football morning show when I first started watching football. So Good Morning Football. There was another one in between NFL AM and Good Morning Football, but he was on that as well.
Yeah. No, he played. He was the 12th overall pick in 2005. He played 05 through 10 with the Chargers, and then only played 2 seasons with the Bills. So, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He got a first team and a second team All Pro in a 7-year career. 3-time Pro Bowler, NFL sacks leader, Chargers 50th anniversary team, 46 sacks. I mean, those.
Can you pull up the individual season? Because I think a majority of those sacks came in 2 seasons. The dude was insane.
Let's see, sack numbers. He had 17.5 in 2006.
It really is just his
It was
first
3
years.
three
Yeah,
years.
no.
He had, let me see if I can do this math real quick. So that's
40?
30? 40? Well, when you include the tennis.
Yeah, I was
40
including
sacks in his first 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, the high was really high. It was just
Mhm.
very short lived due to injuries.
so he played, in his first 3 seasons, he played a total of 42 games in the first 3 seasons. After that, he played in a total of 33 in the next 5 seasons of his career. So he played significantly more games in the first 3 years than he did in the next following 5.
NFL stands for not for long.
Seriously.
But like I said, I talked myself into Cushing.
I'm Cushing.
Yeah, I'm on Cushing as
I'm
well.
on Cushing as well. I think Derek Johnson, Sean Merriman, guys like that deserve the flowers.
Yeah.
But I think that
I mean, if we were doing a best linebacker list for the number, I mean, Derek Johnson.
Yeah.
But it's most iconic.
That's right, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, 57. Only 3 names. Not a ton of when you think of like
Compared to the rest of the list,
Exactly,
like this one's a
yes,
little weaker.
Exactly. 3 guys currently. One guy who's current right now. There's actually 2 guys that are current, but one a little more prevalent like right now. Dre Greenlaw is on this list. Obviously tore his ACL.
Yep.
ACL last
Walking
year.
out onto the field in the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
just trying to get hype, bouncing up and down, tears his ACL. Awful.
I mean, I think
If he plays, maybe the Super Bowl goes a little differently because he's that good. Like, he is
that
good. Number 2, a little bit more of an older one, but a currently inactive player, C.J. Mosley. When you look at his time with the Ravens, just absolutely insane. So good.
dude,
And
the
then-
way that they produce linebackers,
Insane. And then just let him walk.
crazy. Yeah, and then they just get better ones.
Yeah. Yep. And then the last one on this list, Bart Scott. A little bit more maybe nowadays well known for his commentary and being
Media
on
career.
TV, media
Yeah.
career. But I mean, a solid career. I don't have his numbers up, but I think he had a decent career.
Yeah, he was very good. He was one of the centerpieces for that Ravens-Steelers rivalry, which, by the way, Naples is the best rivalry in the NFL.
Facts.
I don't...
Yeah, sure, whatever.
It is. Okay. And then he was also a part of the Jets' 2010 team for sure, maybe the 2009 team as well that went to the AFC Championship both years.
He has a second team All-Pro, and he has 1 Pro Bowl. He played for 10 seasons. He had 25 sacks, 4 picks, 6 forced fumbles, and 729 tackles, not 729 sacks.
That'd be really
That would
impressive.
be 529 more than the all-time leader, right? Because
Wow.
200 is
Yeah, Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. Thank you. I was gonna say Bill's
That'd be
guy.
really impressive
Bill's
if
guy.
he did that.
So where are you guys at on this? We got 2 currents and 1 former.
So real quick, I do want to interject because when you asked me if it was the ACL for Dre Greenlaw, I was like, I think so. But then I was like re-watching him jumping in the air, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. How would he tear his ACL?
His Achilles.
It was his
Achilles, yeah.
Achilles.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. CJ Mosley is like getting to the point now because of just longevity and consistency where he's a fringe Hall of Famer. But for some reason, I want to go Bart Scott here. Like, he's a loudmouth. He's very controversial. He was controversial when he was playing. He's controversial now. I'm kind of leaning Bart Scott, to be honest.
I have no idea who Bart Scott is.
I'll pull up the
and
pic.
yeah, maybe if I seen him.
You've seen him on some
Yeah, if
talk
I've
show.
seen him.
He's on ESPN. a lot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are,
Oh, okay, I know who
Yeah.
that is,
Yes.
but
looks a little bit like Darrell Revis.
I don't know.
If you
But
squint, it's abstract.
If you squint.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna land on Dre Greenlaw. I was at first gonna go CJ Mosley, but then I'm just
We're going to
thinking
have a
like,
three-way tie.
I was originally gonna go CJ Mosley, and I was thinking just because of like just his tenure, like what he did like in the league, but how many eyes were on that Super Bowl last year, and how many times did they replay that clip of Dre Greenlaw? Like everybody knows Dre Greenlaw because he got hurt because he tore his Achilles.
He also got ejected 2 or 3 times last
Yeah,
year.
like before he does that on the Super Bowl where everyone's watching, nobody really knows who Dre Greenlaw is unless you're like into ball and like you know like who he is. Other than that, you have no idea who Dre Greenlaw is.
He's a good story too.
This
He
is-
actually got a chance to share a story because of his injury.
Yeah.
He's a good story too. Backstory.
This is
That's
more of
right.
an on-the-field take, but I do think it's a bit of a hot take. And I've felt it for at least all of last season, maybe the season before. I'm not sure, and this is no hate to the other guy. I'm not sure that Fred Warner is that much better than Dre Greenlaw.
Dre Greenlaw.
I think Dre Greenlaw is nice. If you look at his coverage, run stopping, like athleticism, I think Dre Greenlaw holds up very well with Fred Warner. I think they're more of equals than what we and really every football fan out there gives us credit for.
100%. All right, so I'm going to put this out there. We obviously talked a little bit about three-way tag. I didn't realize how disrespectful we bring to C.J. Mosley's career until I just looked him up on Wikipedia and saw his
when
accolades.
I said French Hall of Famer.
You did say French Hall of Famer, but just like when we talk about like
Do you
Bart Scott's
disagree with
career,
that, or-
no.
Okay.
No. 5-time second team All Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, All Rookie Team. He was the Butkus Award winner for going back to college. He has over 1,000 tackles in his career, over 10 sacks. He has 12 sacks. He has 12 interceptions. He has 10 forced fumbles. He has 3 defensive touchdowns. I mean, as far as the careers of the 3 guys that we're talking about, like C.J. Mosley is miles ahead of the other two.
For sure.
And like, I'm not saying that Dre Greenlaw can't potentially get to that at one point, but like, the time that he spent with the Ravens was absolutely insane. Like, he's been with the Jets since 2019, and we haven't really heard his name a whole lot.
Yeah, he went there and fell off.
And a part of some rough teams.
Yeah, and he was the 17th overall pick. He went to Alabama. Like, of all
that
places,
draft class. So let me just name some of the defensive players. The front 7. We'll just go front 7. Jadeveon Clowney, Khalil Mack, Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr, we did mention him for 55, but he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. I don't think people realize that about Anthony Barr. And then Ryan Shazier, who was actually picked ahead of Mosley. He was picked 15th overall.
Did you say Khalil Mack?
Yeah. And Mosley.
Yeah.
That 2014 Aaron Donald, yes. Amazing front
C.J.
7.
Mosley,
Calvin Pryor.
D. Ford, maybe a little bit more infamous nowadays for his offsides.
Yeah.
Dominique Easley.
Can we talk about that D Ford offsides real quick? If that doesn't happen, the worst Patrick Mahomes has ever done in the NFL is losing in a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
And he might already be a 4-time champ.
Yeah.
That's insane.
DeMarcus Lawrence was also this draft. Kyle Van Noy. Stephon Tuitt. Jeremy Atachu. And that's not who I thought it was. Never mind.
He had one good season, I think, but compared to the other guys we're naming out.
Tony Ely. Yeah, he had like one good season as well.
It took him a while. He was stuck behind Charles Johnson and Greg Hardy. But
I think that based on accolades, I mean, he's the only guy on this. I guess Bart Scott did have one selection to an All-Pro team, but 5-time All-Pro selection, 5-time Pro Bowler. Like, I think that the answer is C.J. Mosley, and I don't know that it's that close.
I'll switch over to Mosley.
I was going to switch over to Mosley. I didn't want to do a 3-way tie.
Yeah. So I was
like, I love Bart Scott. Like, he is like truly iconic. But I'm like, if we're like posting the results when we do all 100 numbers and like it's Bart Scott over C.J. Mosley or Dre Greenlaw over, I'm like, I don't know, sure.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the next one. A lot of names on this one again because it's a popular number, 58. We're looking at guys like Von Miller. We're looking at Thomas Davis, who was the number 2 behind Kuechly, infamous for that stitched arm. You remember when he had stitches all the way up his arm?
It looked like a football from like the 40s. It was disgusting.
It wasn't stitches. It was staples.
Yeah.
What?
He got it stapled. Yeah, he got it stapled back up.
Have you seen
wore
that
an
picture?
air cast. Dude, he broke his arm like really badly during a game, and then he came back and played like the next game or something insane like that. It's
Ronnie Lott.
it's the stuff of nightmares, dude. Like looking at it is, he literally had it.
It looks like a football from the 40s. His arm looks like a football.
Yeah, I was gonna say from all the way back here.
Like,
it looks like a football.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
But shows toughness. A very good player.
For sure. Breeze through some of these other names on here. Shaq Barrett led the league in sacks one time. He almost had 20, 18 and a half or something like that.
I think he had 19 and a half.
19 and a half, yeah. Penei Sewell, who's probably one of the better young tackles in the league right now. Roquan Smith did wear this number when he was with the Bears.
The Bears.
Yes, the Bears. Matt Milano currently wearing this number.
My favorite.
One of the better off-ball linebackers in the league right now. Can't stay healthy, unfortunately. Trent Cole. Carlos Dansby, tackle machine.
I was gonna say, love the Carlos Dansby.
Tackle machine, played for 5 or 6 different teams. if I
3
remember
separate
correctly.
stints with the Cardinals. He was the
Yeah.
first player to do that, and
Yeah.
a very good player.
Yeah.
Naples obviously is referring to the Browns.
Yeah.
2
Sir,
seasons
yes,
there.
sir.
Also played for Miami, and I'm not sure if he played for anyone
Yeah.
else. So.
And then one other name that I know we came up with last week, and we were both like, "Oh, dang, that's a good one." Elvis Dumervil.
That is a good one.
Elvis Dumervil time with the Broncos and with the Ravens.
Ravens and 49ers. He wore 92 with
That's
the
right.
Broncos.
That's
Because
right.
you and I were like,
Marcus-
ooh, if he wore 58 for his whole career, like
Yeah.
that becomes more of an argument. But he did wear 92, I think.
I think I was thinking of the Marcus Ware when I said Broncos,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean that's a
Do you
name
wear-
to throw out later when we get to the
90s are going to
90s.
be insane.
Yeah, these are gonna be wild.
Marcus Ware is good. Anyway, there's
Shout
names
out
on
Becca.
here.
We
Yeah.
haven't done that in
I
a
mean,
couple
Von
weeks.
Miller clears easy.
It's Von Miller.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Super Bowl MVP. I don't know that much conversation needs to be
2-time
had here.
Super Bowl champs.
Old
Yeah.
Spice commercial.
Old Spice commercial. Racist chickens. Wears cowboy hats. All right.
Has
moving-
cool looking
The
glasses.
cowboy hat's
like
tough.
this.
The
Yeah.
cowboy hat's
I do
tough.
like this. Yeah, I do like cowboy hats. All right. Number 59 again. There's
Hold on,
probably
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That like little V haircut.
Oh
like
my
at the
God.
back of his
Oh,
head.
the-
Like,
oh,
and, like,
yeah.
like the whole head shaved, and then he just has like a V of hair. Like a pyramid looking thing.
It just reminds me of when, remember James Conner's hair from like his second
Oh,
year,
yeah.
that weird looking mullet, and then AB's Lego, his little Lego hair. For some reason, it just reminds me of those like weird haircuts. All right, moving on to 59. Again, I think there's one name that stands above the rest, but we'll go through some names here. London Fletcher, Whitney Merciless, we mentioned him earlier, Devondre Campbell, D'Amico Ryans, Danny Trevathan, Wesley Woodyard, but I think the name that stands above is Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
You're forgetting that I wore 59 in high school.
This is
Jersey,
true.
I
It's
mean.
the hate.
We'll put your name on there.
Yeah.
Report honorable
Yeah,
mention.
You can
flowers.
you can highlight Luke Kuechly, but make sure my name stays
Yeah,
on there.
sounds good. Again, no disrespect to those, especially
shout out,
London
shout
Fletcher.
out London Fletcher. He was a dog.
Maybe one of the more, I don't even know if it's disrespected or underrated, but like people don't talk about him as much as they should.
He's not
He was
Hall
a,
of
he
Fame,
was
he
a
should be.
staple of
Animal.
that team. He was that team.
Yes.
For the Rams and the Skins.
Yes. I mean, it's London Fletcher deserves all of the credit and doesn't seem to get any. So, all right. We want to stop at 59?
Yeah.
A couple more.
Let's stop at 59, but you know what? Before we do trivia, because I know you have a question for us, do you want to do the recap today?
Sure, we can.
But we can do numbers 1 through 50 or 1 through 59, up to you. But
All right. Give me 1 second to make sure I can find it. Okay. All right. So let's go down here real quick. Start at number 1. Number 1, we decided Cam Newton.
Superman.
Yep. Superman
Yes,
MVP. Matt Ryan, another MVP. For number 2. Number 3, Russell Wilson.
Never gonna win one.
Never gonna win what?
MVP.
Oh, yeah. And Brett Favre, number 4.
MVP.
Was he? Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 time, I think.
Jalen Ramsey, number 5.
Mhm.
Baker Mayfield, number 6.
Dog.
Well, no, the next one's the dog.
Well,
Number
next one,
7,
love dog.
Woo!
Michael Vick.
Well,
Yes.
did he love him? I don't
Well,
know.
Number
Does he
8.
have a pet dog, you think?
I would think so.
That's wild.
Why?
Why?
What do you
The
mean?
dog's
This guy
probably
can't love
domesticated.
dogs?
All right, number 8, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, number 9. Justin Tucker. Teammates. I didn't realize we put teammates back to back there.
That's actually kind of
you
crazy that
remember
we
it?
put Justin Tucker instead of Drew Brees.
Well,
We did.
that was a good debate. I'm kind
We
of.
went back and forth.
I
on it.
forget. We'll have to go back. Christian.
We
were
rolled.
you-
We rolled the dice on Justin Tucker
Okay.
versus
Christian was trying like hell for
Mm-hmm.
every number 1 through 19 to get a kicker. Like even like average kickers.
He was like,
What?
he was like
Like-
Rob Baronis.
Coronas.
He's like, because he mentioned the obvious suspects like Vinatieri and Tucker, but then
Yeah,
there were some
Vinatieri.
just out of left field. Like he wanted McAfee for 1, I think, over Cam, which we
Yeah,
mentioned
I
him.
was
But
gonna say that could.
Yeah.
that
there
could
were some
honestly-
random ones though. I think he mentioned Ryan Suckup. Like
Yeah. All right, speed run 10 through 20 here. Eli Manning, Julio Jones, Tom Brady, Odell Beckham Jr., Ryan Fitzmagic, we decided for 14. Patrick Mahomes for 15. Josh Cribbs at 16. Devontae Adams, Peyton Manning, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Ed Reed at 20.
forgot that Juju got that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Corvette.
I mean, there's just, number 19 is like a receiver number, and it's like there wasn't really anybody I don't think that stood out like above.
Yeah,
So
no one
there-
in the 2000s and beyond.
Not
Exactly.
many people can pull off 19. I genuinely think Juju looks so good in 19.
No, he did.
What's
He
he
did.
wearing 9 now, isn't he?
He's wearing 7.
Dude, he's
But he wore-
so gross.
We're 9 with the
He wore
Chiefs.
9 with the Chiefs.
Chiefs,
And then
okay.
he thought about trading 9 with Boswell when the whole number changed.
Yeah.
But I think Jalen Ramsey was really close to 20 for Ed Reed. I think Jalen Ramsey really was super close to having 2 numbers.
Yeah, no, I agree. Which his time with Jacksonville, in my opinion, was his best. Like,
Oh, it was.
I mean, it's when he was the most, I would say, well known, and he was the trash talker. He was
the Brink truck.
the leader of that, one of the leaders of that defense,
Him and
like
Calais.
locked down. I mean,
Clay was
any
so good. And they had
Steelers
AJ. Did they have AJ Boye on that team?
yes, yeah. Any Steelers fan knows who Jalen Ramsey is because of how many times he picked up Ben Musburger. Ben could not figure out how to pass the ball on Jalen Ramsey's side of the field without getting picked off.
Dude, 6'3", 6'4", and can run with anybody.
It's insane. So, all right, moving on to the 20s. So, obviously, we mentioned Ed Reed at 20, LaDainian Tomlinson at 21, Derrick Henry 22, Devin Hester 23, Darrelle Revis 24. We wanted to give shout out to Champ Bailey because we didn't actually even mention him on the podcast, which is super
You didn't
disrespectful.
mention someone else too. Beast mode.
Beast mode, yep. Marshawn Lynch, absolutely. 25, Richard Sherman. 26, Rod Woodson. 27, Malcolm Jenkins. 28, Adrian Peterson. 29, Eric Berry. 30, Todd Gurley. 31, Cam Chancellor. Bam Bam Cam. 32, Eric Weddle. 33, Peanut Tillman. Yep.
It was such a good stretch of people.
D'Angelo Williams, 34. Mike Tolbert, 35. The Bus, 36.
That's another set of teammates we put there. I didn't even realize.
Oh, Tolbert and Williams?
Yeah.
And the Bus, I mean, he was never teammates with Williams, but they're close.
Yeah.
Sean Alexander, 37. Tremont Williams, 38. Steven Jackson, 39. Mike Allstott, 40. Shout out to the Madden cover there for the other one, for the other 40. Anton Bethea at 41. Darren Sharper at 42. Yeah. Troy Polamalu, 43. Dallas Clark, 44.
Easy work.
Devin White, 45. James Devlin, 46. John Lynch, 47. Bud Dupree, 48. Shaquem Griffin, 49. Ryan Shazier, AJ Hawk for 50. We did decide Shazier, but yeah, I know. Will Compton, 51. Ray Lewis, 52. Marquise Pouncey, 53. Brian Urlacher, 54. Terrell Suggs, 55. Brian Cushing, 56. CJ Mosley, 57. Von Miller, 58. 59, Luke Kuechly.
40 numbers left.
I think it's looking good.
Yeah,
All right, so real quick, rapid fire, like you can look, but I want you guys to give me who you think the most iconic player is for that number and who do you think the least iconic is.
For which number?
For what? So, like, let's say, I'll give an example. I think that...
Or like of our list currently?
Yeah, so like Patrick Mahomes is the most iconic with his number.
Okay.
And then a least iconic, I would say Malcolm Jenkins, 27.
I like Tom Brady with number 12 as the most iconic. Tommy Terrific.
I thought you were going to go Tremont Williams for 38.
I mean, it's honestly probably Juju at 19 for least iconic. I think he played, only 2 or 3 years there? And
5.
He played 5 years with Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Because he got a tag basically like 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Wow, I didn't realize he played there that long. I thought it was like he had a solid rookie year, broke out and had that next big year, and then it was just kind of one more decent year before he left.
Very good rookie year, insanely good second year, and then after that, that's when it all
Okay.
went to crap.
I thought he left after that 3rd year.
Josie?
Say the perimeters one more time. I'm sorry. I was
So,
trying to look at
like,
trivia that
the
I
most
had.
iconic. So who's a player where you're like, yes, him and that number, they go together. And then what's one where you're kind of like, eh. So, like, Tom Brady owns 12.
Yeah.
Mahomes owns 15. Heck, I would say Fitzpatrick owns 14.
Yeah.
But, then he mentioned Juju. I mentioned Malcolm Jenkins where you're like, yeah, they won, but, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot of names that fall into this number, but when I think of the number 28, I always think of Adrian Peterson. He's one of my favorite players of all time to watch. Just what he did as even a rookie coming into Minnesota. I think when I think of the number 28, I think of Adrian Peterson. And then for the other one where you said it just doesn't
Yeah,
it's
you're
kind of
like,
like
whatever.
OBJ 13. No, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just 'cause
that's
it's not-
one that goes in the other category.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Devin Hester's another good one. 23. Like, when I think 23, I think of Devin Hester.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Mike
Maybe
Tolbert.
it might be because it's a weird number, but like I love Eric Weddle, but like the number 32 just doesn't. And when I think of number 32, I don't know that I necessarily think of anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Who was
it's
our
just a
runner
weird
up there?
number.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think there was like a couple backs,
Yeah.
and I think there was another safety. Was it Tyrann Mathieu?
Yes, that was
Yeah. I just when I think of the number 32, I don't know that there's a specific player that pops in my head. Even though I love Eric Weddle, I love that we picked him for that pick. It's like I don't know that 32 is really a memorable number for me. So.
All right.
I'm trying to find this.
Listen, you were all excited about it.
I was.
We weren't gonna do it, and then you were like, "No, like we have a
He's
trivia.
got this
Like I
big
love
trivia.
it."
That's right.
So if you don't have this trivia,
Hey,
then
trivia is all the rage on the TikTok, man.
This
You
is
gotta
very
get
true.
us. You gotta get us these
maybe
ratings.
we'll make a TikTok about it once I find it. So yeah, we can wrap up. That's all good. I'll find it. And
Yo,
we'll,
shout
make a TikTok
out,
about
shout
it.
out BDGE podcast. I don't know if y'all listen to them.
Do not.
They've been some of my favorites to listen to. They do a lot of like trivia games.
the show.
Nice.
All right.
Sure.
Well, we'll see you guys next week. Everyone, give Josie crap for not finding the trivia that he was talking up.
I know.
This has been the Second Short Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Trash.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.